really hard to work out with a baby.
I don't want to be a stressed out mom.
Do I wear breast pads or do I not wear breast pads? Things have just really been intense with my daughter, and we are amazing. Like, we just grew life and birthed life into this world. I cried during the class. This has truly been such an honor. I am currently 5.5 weeks postpartum. I have my 6-week follow-up appointment in just a couple of days where I will likely be cleared for exercise. So it is time to start planning out phase 2 of my postpartum program. I had really intended to have this all planned out while I was still pregnant, but I ended up really having to spend a lot of time tying up all the loose ends with the prenatal program, and then my baby came early. So we are doing it now. I didn't film any of the process of designing phase 1 or actually going through it myself, just because having a newborn is all-consuming and I just didn't think to pick up the camera. But now things are settling down and I'm excited to kind of bring you along for the journey. I will just say with phase 1, I feel like it had a huge impact on my recovery, and I'm just physically feeling so fantastic, and I'm really excited to start to ease my way back into more formal exercise and workouts. So I will tell you all about the thought process that went into designing phase 1, as well as kind of what I'm thinking for phase 2 once we actually get into planning in a little bit. But for now, we're making breakfast, we're having tea. I will probably breastfeed again, and then I'm hoping once my daughter settles down for a little morning nap, I will have the opportunity to at least start the planning process for phase 2 of the postpartum program. Today is to at least start the planning process for phase 2. I still have about 5 days before I'm going to actually start those workouts, so I have a few days to keep refining the program, but we need to start brainstorming now because that date is coming up pretty quick. But before I actually get into planning for that, I wanted to just catch you up to speed on what phase 1 is all about. So for phase 1, I designed it to be done basically from the moment that you give birth until you go to that 6-week follow-up appointment and get cleared for more formal exercise. I created 6 short little movement sequences. They're each about 10 minutes. They're really designed to be done however often feels right for you. So I'm going to suggest minimum 3 times a week if you can manage it. I was actually able to do each of these sequences 6 to 7 times per week, so almost every single day, and it was so nice for me to prioritize this. I really viewed it as my moment for self-care. I always was able to carve out a little bit of time each day, either when the baby was sleeping or I would just give her to my husband and say, I need to go and I need to do my movement break for the day. I would come into a separate room, I would turn the lights down, I would put on some calming music and just take my body through these short little sequences. So the sequences progress in difficulty over the course of the 6 weeks. That first week, the sequence is actually designed to be done in bed, and it was super, super gentle and easy. And then by the time we get to 6 weeks, which is where I'm at right now, this sequence is definitely a little bit more of a challenge and is meant to bridge that gap between our first 6 weeks postpartum and then returning into exercise. Because there is a lot that can be done that's not exercise, but is movement to help our body during this time. And I feel so proud with the 6 sequences that I came up with. I really loved them, as I said, and I'm feeling physically fantastic, and I feel like it's really been a nice way to gradually build myself up in preparation for returning to more formal exercise. So that brings us to phase 2, which is not designed yet, but here's kind of what I'm thinking with phase 2. I want the workouts in phase 2 to resemble more traditional workouts. So instead of just being like little 10-minute sequences, I want this to have a warm-up, have a little circuit that we repeat probably just twice, and then have a cool down. I'm thinking that it'll be 2 workouts that you'll alternate, kind of go back and forth between. I'm thinking with the scheduling, it'll be like, you work out A, then work out B, then have a recovery day. Workout A, workout B, have a recovery day. Not 100% sure on that, but that's where I'm at right now. That is what I'm thinking. Let's go ahead and dive in. officially completed both workouts in phase 2, and the good news is that the workouts themselves were really great. I felt very strong, and I felt like they were a nice progression from where we left things in phase 1. I also feel like there's lots of wiggle room with the exercises that are in these workouts so that people can modify as they need to and make sure that everything feels good in their bodies and where they're at in their recovery process. And I will definitely give tons of modifications when I go to actually coach these workouts on camera. The bad news is it's really hard to work out with a baby. Both my husband and I wanted to be able to do these workouts together because he hasn't really worked out since she was born, and he thought this would be a nice way to kind of ease his way back into movement with this program. But our daughter was really not pleased with us that we were not focusing on her. She was very fussy, didn't want to be put down, and we just spent most of the workout going back and forth trying to soothe her and calm her down. So I think moving forward, we'll probably just work out on our own. We both are really excited to get back into movement in this way and want it to feel like a nice opportunity for self-care. So I'm sure one of us will watch her while the other one works out, and then we'll switch. And that is just life as a new parent. You gotta adapt as necessary.
Oh my goodness. So the goal for today was to film the first 3 sequences for phase 1, which are each like 10 minutes, so it wasn't going to be too big of a deal. But last night was just an absolutely terrible night. I was up all night with my baby, and then today has also just been pretty rough. I don't know what it is, or just having a difficult time. So it's now 5 o'clock and I was able to film the first sequence for phase 1, which is to be done in bed. So that's the other thing, is I wasn't on my usual set, and so I had to kind of like figure out how it was going to work in here, but we just kept it very simple. Did it on my bed. It's no big deal. And yeah, I'm happy with that. This is like the big thing that I have been trying to work on and learn within myself, is how to feel okay and comfortable, not even just okay, but happy with not checking every single thing off of my to-do list. And when things don't go according to plan, it's like every day is different. And I feel like it's such an important lesson for everyone in life that like we need to be able to let go of control, but especially as a new mom, my past self would have just been so upset by this, and it would have ruined the rest of the day. And I would have just like had all this anxiety over the fact that I wasn't able to check everything off, and it's just not a big deal. Instead, I feel proud of myself for doing what I did do, and I am just gonna try to find time later this week to do the other classes, and like that's all good. And especially for me, when I work from home, like there's no set schedule. No one knows when this is gonna be released. I said in my head I want to get it done today, but like who cares? It's not a big deal. This is gonna be something that I continue to really sit with and live with and learn, because I don't want to be a stressed out mom that's always just feeling overwhelmed and thinking about work. I want to be present for my daughter. So anyways, big success for the day. We got one done.
Okay, so today is the day. We are filming the rest of phase 1. And we already have the set up. It's only like 11 o'clock, which is great. I am just trying to do my hair really quick so that it doesn't look like it hasn't been washed in days. And the big outstanding question for me is, do I wear breast pads or do I not wear breast pads? Because I have a large oversupply and I basically always need to be wearing breast pads. I leak a lot, but you can only see my breast pads in whatever it is that I'm wearing, which has been a big challenge for me. But I usually am wearing her whenever I go out in public, so it's like not a big deal. But
It is definitely going to be seen in whatever I choose to wear here, which needs to be something tight. Can't just wear like a loose baggy shirt because I need my mic to be close to my body. So that's why I always wear like sports bras or just really tight fitting tanks. So you're definitely gonna be able to see it. But I'm in good company here. Is it worth it to have it and just everyone know that I have pads in and that it looks funky, or is it worth the risk of leaking? I think I'm just gonna wear them. Bye! Okay, finished literally just in the nick of time. I finished the last sequence and my husband and daughter were standing at the door and she was waking up from her nap and ready to feed. So literally turned the camera off, ran over, whipped it out, and we just finished a nice feed. But wow, it felt so good to be back behind the camera. I had so much fun filming those sequences. It's definitely different when there's time pressure and you know that your baby's gonna be back to feed any moment. But I had a lot of fun, and I also just have to report that I felt so good. Like, I remember doing these sequences when I was in my first, second, third week postpartum, and now being 7 weeks postpartum, I'm like, wow, I feel so strong, and these feel totally different than they did when I was doing them in real time. So that's really promising, is that the healing, it happens, and this work works. Being a parent is really hard. I filmed one of the 2 workouts for phase 2 this morning, and the workout itself went really well, other than the fact that I was aiming for it to be like 20-25 minutes, and it was 20-25 minutes when I did it alone, but it ended up being 28 minutes in total. But that's just because there's a lot of cueing that needs to be given, I think, in order to really make sure that we're doing things properly and setting a strong foundation. So anyways, it was 28 minutes, but hopefully it's all good. It's not like it's a grueling, hard 30-minute workout, you know, it's very intentional still. But it takes a lot of energy to film, to get the set up, to get myself ready, to get myself in the right headspace. And then I'm doing a workout and then also coaching the entire time. And then, you know, I'm so used to just being able to like then take a deep breath and relax on the couch and like have a nice big lunch and chug a bunch of water and stuff. And I just can't do that right now. My husband had been sitting outside with my daughter, and the second I was done, she woke up from a nap with him and then was ready to eat. And then we were having a really difficult time feeding. And then it was just like chaos for 2 hours, and I was starving. And my husband made me some lunch, which was really nice, but like I wasn't able to eat it because I was tending to her. I mean, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. I'm sure if you are watching this, you are also with a little one, maybe in the postpartum area, or not. But if you are, you get it. It's hard. It's just totally different. She will eventually be going to daycare, and I'm going to be filming on the days when she's at daycare. So it will kind of get back to somewhat of a routine, but oh my gosh, it's so exhausting and also so wonderful and amazing. You know, this has just been the big mental challenge throughout all of the postpartum period for me so far. And I know I'm not alone in this. It feels so hard, but then also you love your child so much and you're so obsessed with them. And then you feel bad for feeling like it's hard, but I mean, it's exhausting. I'm going to be filming the second of the 2 workouts, not tomorrow, but the next day. And then I think I'm going to kind of re-examine my filming schedule. I think it's just going to be too much, and I don't know. I can't make any plans right now. I'm just I want to take a nap, but I need to go do dishes and laundry and yada, yada, yada. Okay, it is a new day. The baby is fed. Baby is outside with dad. I've got the set all set up. I am fully ready to go, and it's only like 10:20 in the morning, so we are doing great. The only bummer is that it is raining today, and whenever it's raining, it always makes the set super, super dark, and like I've got some white cabinets and stuff in here, and they reflect off of the window whenever it's dark, so that's a bummer. But today is the day that we're getting it done, and Oh well, I'm sure people will very quickly forget how dark it is. Now, fingers crossed, I can keep this class under 30 minutes. Again, I'm going for 20 to 25. Last one was 28, so if it's within that 25 to 30 range, I'm gonna be really happy, so both classes are around the same length. Let's get it done.
Share this back when I was planning phase 2, but basically what happened was when I was sitting down to plan it, I realized I need to figure out where we're trying to get to and then kind of back up from there. So I actually ended up going all the way to phase 4 and figuring out what things I felt like we wanted to be able to do by the time we reach the end of phase 4, which will be around 13 weeks, and then went back and jotted down some ideas for where we should be for phase 3, and finally what we want to be doing in phase 2. So I kind of built it up in reverse. So now I'm sitting down to plan out phase 3. I have everything basically written down. I have all of the exercises that I want to do. I just need to organize it. I had this big realization when I was sitting down for that first planning session that there's really 3 categories going on here. We've got upper body, lower body, and core, and they all need to be approached slightly differently. The core work really requires a lot of intention, requires moving slowly and with control and with our breath, and I think requires quite a bit of consistency just given the large transformation that our abdominal region has undergone in the past 10 months plus. And then upper body work is not that big of a deal in general. You could argue that our arms are potentially deconditioned because we haven't been training them since giving birth, but I have found that my arms are just as strong as they were when I was at the end of my pregnancy because I've been carrying around my baby so much, who is quite heavy. So, okay, hang on. Oh. Okay, upper body work, not that big of a deal. You can kind of just dive right back into where you left off, or maybe go a little bit lighter just by adjusting the weights. Our lower body work is kind of halfway in between. In general, lower body work is much more taxing than the upper body work, so we want to be a little bit more mindful as we're incorporating lower body exercises back into our routine, but they also really involve a lot of intention with the core and pelvic floor. So we didn't actually include lower body strengthening exercises in phase 2, but we're going to start to introduce them in phase 3, but again, really slowly, probably mostly body weight, etc. So what I've decided to do is divide it into those 3 categories. In phase 2, we just had a workout A and a workout B. They were mostly core work and a little bit of arm work. For phase 3, we've got the upper body workout, the lower body workout, and the core workout. And you'll repeat all of those workouts, but you'll end up repeating the core workout more frequently just because I think that needs the most focus and attention, as I was saying. And then by the time we get to phase 4, we're going to start to really mirror what my regular programming is. My regular program is called Recess. So I want to start to mirror what Recess looks like so that we can really feel prepared once we reach the end of phase 4 to go back into Recess. That's the whole idea. So, but I'm not going to focus too much on phase 4. Again, I already have jotted down the exercises that I want to include in phase 4 just because I needed to know where we were going to get to. But today is about phase 3. I've got the exercises. I want to focus on building sufficient warm-ups and cool downs. So we're gonna see how much work I can get done on this before she starts to kind of wake up and get a little fussy.
just had a huge win, which is that for the very first time, I had my baby with me for a workout and I made it through the entire workout without having to stop. She is of course getting a little fussy now, but this is such a huge win for me. I'm currently 9.5 weeks postpartum. I'm in the middle of phase 3 and I have taken her into the gym area with me multiple times at this point, and I'm just never able to make it through the entire workout because she doesn't like being put down. She doesn't like being left alone. But today is a magical day and she was just so calm, and I think it's because she's starting to be able to see now, and so she was able to watch me and know that I was still right there, and she was just interested and curious in all the different weird things that I was doing. But what a win. Wow, because obviously I'm not always gonna have support, and there are gonna be many times where my baby is here and I am her only caretaker and I'm trying to get some movement in, and we wanna be able to prioritize movement, don't we, baby? If you have yet to succeed in making it through a full workout because your baby likes to be held, hopefully this can serve as a little hope. I have no idea if this is ever gonna happen again, but you know, I'm taking the win.
Finished one of my workouts for phase 3, and while I was having my peaceful rest, which I feel so zenned out right now, but as I was resting, I had a thought that I wanted to share here, which is that I made intro videos for each of the trimesters, and I plan to make an intro video for the 4th trimester as well. And these intro videos are mainly logistical, just to kind of share how the program works and what you can expect, but also to give words of encouragement. And so I'm constantly thinking in my head as I'm going through this experience of the 4th trimester program, what it is that I want to share. The main thing that keeps coming up for me is that I really want this program to be a gentle, loving experience for all who do it. I don't want it to feel overwhelming. I don't want it to feel like another thing that's added to your plate, and I really don't want people to start to feel like they're not good enough or they're slackers or lazy because they're not progressing through it as quickly as I suggest. I honestly think that some people might take a year to do this 14-week program, and that is perfectly fine. And that's amazing. We all are in a different situation. We all have different amounts of support. Some people have tons of support and that allow them to have moments of free time so that they can work out, and others have no support at all. We all had different birth experiences that we're recovering from. We all have different babies, and we all definitely are having different amounts of sleep, mostly probably feeling rather sleep deprived. So with all these factors, it's too much for me to say, okay, you're gonna do this video on this week and this video on this week. And so that's why I've decided to call them phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. And I'm gonna give suggestions of which weeks these phases are intended to be, but those suggestions are an absolute minimum. Phase 1 is weeks 1 through 6 minimum, but you could easily do it weeks 13 through 18 or whatever, 13 through 19, math. I just think that's really important because there's so much marketing out there that's targeting postpartum women specifically that can be just trash for the mind and really makes us feel bad about ourselves. And we are amazing. Like, we just grew life and birthed life into this world, and now we are tending to that life with all of our love and care, and we deserve a little love and care ourselves, and gentleness with how we give ourselves that love and that care through movement and mindfulness and so on. Okay, hello. It has been quite a while. To be honest, things have just really been intense with my daughter, and I've had a lot of troubles with breastfeeding and making sure she's getting enough calories. It's a whole story, and I'll probably make another separate video on that, but it has really been just all consuming, and so I have not even thought to pick up the camera. However, I did manage to finish up with phase 3, and I actually filmed it as I was finishing it up, and then planned phase 4, and I'm currently halfway through phase 4, and y'all, I feel so good. I know that everybody's experience is going to be different, but wow, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. When you really put in the time and you move slow and with intention rather than just like doing nothing for 6 weeks and then jumping back into a HIIT class or something, I have really felt the transformation and I've trusted the process. And now that I'm in phase 4, which is really where we get back into the standard training that I hoped to be in, that I sort of brought us to, and I just feel so ready for it, and it feels so good on my body. I have not felt overly sore by any means, but I'm still lifting pretty heavy weights, and it just feels so good. This is also the phase where we have started to reintroduce cardio, which that was the thing I was kind of most nervous for, because I really did not put any cardio training in the prenatal program because I just don't think that you need it. Last week was my first time doing it, and I was like, okay, this is new. Like, it's been a while since I've really felt my heart rate get elevated, and it's been a while since I've done some like up, down, side to side, sort of like quicker body weight movements. But it was okay last week, and I honestly felt totally fine later that day and the next day, and then today I'm like, oh wow, this is no problem. Like I eased my way in, and that's all it took, and now I just feel totally great. I mean, dare I say back to pre-pregnancy? I mean, it can't be, certainly not, but I mean, I don't feel like anything is too much, which is really encouraging. So I'm hopeful that, you know, anyone who goes through this program and really takes their time and does the steps, like I say so much throughout the program, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Go slow, go slow, go slow. Are you chatty? I really encourage everyone who's doing it to go slow, and I went slow myself, and I'm like really feeling the benefits of that. So I have one more week left of doing phase 4 on my own, and then I actually need to get back into programming for the regular membership, and I'm gonna be filming stuff for that because that needs to come out. I'm kind of out of all of my programming that I created in order for me to take a maternity leave. So I'm finishing phase 4 on my own, then I'm gonna film for the regular membership, and then I'm gonna come back and film phase 4 in like a month. So it's all a little funny, but we're getting it done. The last thing that I just want to say is that doing phase 4 has really been quite emotional for me. It has been... Are you chatty? She's like in the best mood today. It's so cute. We deserve this. It has been really hell the past month. The past 3 months have been really hard, but the past month in particular. I have just been so emotional because I have really worked on this pre and postnatal program for over 10 months now exclusively, and it just feels like not only such an accomplishment to have finished programming this, it's such an accomplishment for me to have gone through it myself. Like, I really feel as though I've been on this huge journey of growth and supporting myself and my body and my mental health. Doing these workouts on my own has just been so great just for me. So I'm like, even if no one ends up doing the program, which I hope isn't the case, but even if no one ends up doing it, I'm just so glad that I put all this time and energy and effort into this, because it's been so worth it for me and my experience. But I also just feel emotional because I have been so touched by this experience, and I hope that it's clear now, like, it's way more than just workouts. Like, it is an opportunity to slow down, to connect to yourself, to ground yourself, to really check in at every point in the process. And especially in the prenatal program, there was so much mental prep and physical prep for the process of labor and delivery, and it is your opportunity to move with intention throughout this really wild time in your life. I feel just so proud of myself for creating it, but also I just feel so excited to be able to contribute to other people's experiences, potentially. Anyone who does this program, like, I hope that they feel as held and supported as I have throughout the process. I'm more in awe now of women and pregnancy and birth and just this whole experience than I
ever have been before. I feel really, really grateful that I have had the opportunity to hopefully change other people's lives in the process. So I've pretty much started crying like in every workout of phase 4 because it just feels like, wow, I can't believe we're at the end of this journey. We definitely want to have a second kid, and I am excited to get pregnant a second time and to be able to just go through the pre and postnatal programs and just take them as a user rather than like having to create them in real time, because that's definitely been a lot. I'm just so grateful, and I'm hopeful others will have the same experience.
I just finished. Wow. I cried during the class. I gave myself a little moment to just kind of process on my own, and I've taken the time to take the set down and get things uploading onto my computer so it's not crazy fresh and I'm not sobbing on camera right now. But as we were approaching the end, I just was flooded with emotions. First of all, this weekend is the 1-year anniversary from the date that I found out that I was pregnant with my daughter. But just that alone, for that to align with when I am finishing the postpartum program after essentially a year of working exclusively on the prenatal and postpartum program, I don't think I'll ever fully process what this experience has been like. I think that this might be one of the highs of my entire career. It just feels, there are no words. It's been so special, and I think the journey of becoming a mom has been way deeper than I expected it to be. It just feels different than I expected it. Like, especially as we rounded that 3-month mark, I feel like there's just this whole new piece of my identity that's been unlocked that you just don't know until you know. You don't know what this is like until you become a parent. And I've been meeting other moms in an attempt to sort of find community. And even though I obviously don't have nearly as deep of a relationship with them as I do with my lifelong friends, because the fact that they have gone through this experience and they get it, it's like there's a closeness there right away. I just feel comforted by being with them. And I think that probably a lot of new parents have that experience. That's what this program feels like. Like, it feels like I've been in this cocoon of knowing that everyone who is going to be taking these classes that I am teaching are also going through this with me. And so it feels like there's a community, and it just feels like such a safe and nurturing place. And not that the rest of my membership is not, it definitely is. Like, that is the vibe of the playground overall. But there's a deep sadness to leaving this chapter of my life and going back to my regular routine and my regular side of the membership. And anyone who's gone through this journey knows that it is just such a process and such a transformation, and I think I'm gonna be processing it for the rest of my life. I feel so happy. I feel just overjoyed with where we're at in our parenting journey. The first 3 months were so hard, and I have a really hard baby. But once we got to that 3-month mark, things really turned around, and she's just so happy, and it's such a joy to be around her all the time, and then to be able to match that with really returning to more of a regular work routine. These past couple weeks have just been so fantastic, and I just feel on top of the world. And then on top of that, there's also a grief, as I just said, of exiting this chapter. So I could ramble on forever. I just wanted to come on and say this has truly been such an honor. I am so hopeful that it reaches as many people as possible, because I do feel like it can and will have an impact. If you are expecting, or you know someone who is expecting, I would love for you to join me on this journey. You can go to theplaygroundapp.com/prenatal to learn all about the prenatal program, as well as the postpartum program that you have just watched me go through. Thank you so much for watching, and that's all for now.